casting at the time. This was all the way back in
true.
March. Now we're here at the business end of the season, and BBQ hoping on the red side to arrest the blue side win rate and actually keep their hopes alive. They're pretty faint hopes. They do have to beat SKT to move above the ROX Tigers and have ROX lose in this particular series. So far, the bans stay the same. There's Alistair, Elise, Corki on blue side. The Orianna first pick, you can almost pencil it in unless BBQ want to leave open the Kalista.
Well, Alistair, Elise, Corki looks pretty similar to the exact bans that you read out moments ago. Kalista should be it here for BBQ unless they decide that they want to get rid of the Orianna, and they do. So Kalista is going to go over to Sungyun.
You'd have to think you'll lock it in. Don't see any reason to move past it. Does mean Tristana could come out for Ghost in answer in terms of the lane focus, but Sungyun smiling on our screens. Have to imagine the Kalista that is his favorite pick will be locked in.
Yep. Almost thinking about taking his shirt off as well by the looks of things, so that was exciting. Crazy now considering what he wants to take, as BBQ have a couple of extra options. Lava's life going to be a little bit more difficult without his Corki and without his Orianna at the same time. They were sort of banking on him being able to get that Orianna again, because last few times that we've seen Lava play, it's been with both the Orianna and the Corki.
BBQ now inviting on the red side. See what they want to take. They'll be taking away the Thresh that Key looked so proficient on in game one of the day. To go for the Braum here, I guess, for Key. That would be definitely the tier list choice and a decent combination with the Kalista, but Rakan is also available for harder engage.
Yep, doesn't have access to the Alistair, unfortunately, so those sick headbutt pulverized plays not available, but Maokai considered for Crazy or Bless. It is going to be locked away. So, I mean, Blitzcrank, another option. I just don't want him to play Braum. It felt like a bit of a depressing performance from Key, who we know has so much mechanical skill on a lot of his champions. Just didn't really feel like it was working for Key in Game 2.
Well, the Cho'Gath for Linderong is available, so drafting it here is a potential answer to the Maokai. Does well in the 1v1, even if they want to vary up the top lane matchup. Cho'Gath does decently in most lanes, so going to be locked in. Songwon, of course, could also flex it to the jungle.
Yeah, I like that. Keeping some flexibility in this roster. But knowing that the Maokai will most likely be heading towards the top lane means that they're just opting in for the tank battle. And Lava's like, what else is in my champion pool?
Avoiding mid lane here, I think, would be happy for the ROX Tigers. If they locked in a mid laner, for example, Talia, who would be just fine with what was drafted, there is room for, say, a Syndra answer pick from Tempt. They want to maybe narrow the pools. They could do that more happily with access to some more bans. So I like the fact that they've stayed away from a mid lane draft from Lava, who doesn't have the Orianna to just pressure himself through lane and go on the super tank route of the ROX Tigers.
Yep. I actually like this. Get as many big bodies there as Sungyun can just dance around and no one can even click on him anymore because he's just got so many huge friends. Not saying anything about Sejuani being fat or anything like that. It's mostly bristle. Obviously, just if you were thinking that I was judging, I certainly was not.
Well, definitely a lot of tanks expected in this game. The Kog'Maw is now going to be the selection on the side of BBQ. That was, of course, the AD carry on blue side for ROX in game one. Going to be relatively safe, given that Sejuani and Cho'Gath have very little access to the backline, regardless of what comes through in the second round of the draft.
Well, Blitzcrank, they were listening to me. Kia was, of course, a large proponent of the onslaught of Blitzcranks that we had in the middle of the summer season. He's going to be taken off the board. The ROX Tigers now. A Talia ban would make some sense. Unless they assume that it's a Maokai mid. Understandable.
Rumble actually going to be banned from Crazy. Made a lot of sense when in game one, where Kog'Maw gets his positioning impeded pretty heavily by the equalizer. This is a bit more free to jump around, so a little bit surprised to see the Rumble ban come through. Like you say, the Blitzcrank ban is smart. Provides so much defensive pressure for BBQ not having to respect the Blitzcrank. Well, if you get a control ward lead in the bot side, maybe the Kog'Maw never gets access to farm because you have to respect the Blitzcrank coming in. And the hard engage Rakan I mentioned is denied as well. So you are asking and hoping and praying for no Braum. But when we get into support picks, the tertiary picks are going to have to be enacted in this spot.
Yeah. Unless it's going to be a Tom Kench. We haven't seen the old Tom Kench for quite some time. As LeBlanc is actually going to be banned. It's like they're saying, Tempt, I would suggest Talia. Which I have a feeling he's got no reason not to go towards it. Lava may have a plan. Because, I mean, there couldn't be a more obvious time to pick Talia.
Lava has played Syndra, so could take the Syndra into Talia. No guarantees about how the matchup goes. But when you have a Kog'Maw, having lane priority in your mid lane and potential for defensive uses of the Weaver's Wall to allow Kog'Maw more safe time to farm, like you say, prices in BBQ to the Talia draft. So let's see if ROX Tigers was hurting him there. I want to play around a mid lane power pick like the Syndra.
Well, Syndra now being hovered, so locked in. Lava going to be taking that towards the mid lane, unless there's going to be something silly. But Tahm Kench being looked at over the Braum, and I actually like it. More of a defensive option, I have to admit, but can save someone from a hook. Does nullify that lane quite a lot.
Good against a single target engage of Maokai and Thresh, but like you say, not so good in the laning phase, not so good in terms of wombo engage. I feel like they need the engage, and I heard your disappointment. We're going to be seeing Braum again from Key.
Yeah, and I get it, you know, Sejuani Braum, the stack up the stuff and stun them combination. But it's Braum.
Don't buy the bait. It wasn't going to be a bowler bear.
Oh, are we talking about fishes again? Excellent. Or was Volibear hovered?
Yeah,
I was
for a
making
long
direct eye contact with you the whole time. Just
Good
having
call.
a chat outside of the game. Jarvan is going to be taken away by Bless, or theoretically Crazy, depending on who wants to take it after all these swapsies have come in. The feeling that Bless will be playing it. He had a good time in game number 2. That engage combination of the Maokai and the Jarvan, big tanky bodies to put in front of this Kog'Maw, and I've liked this. With something like an Orianna, even a Talia who does have a lot of utility herself, have a couple of damage dealers and then fill your roster with tanks.
And 20 seconds is the confirmation. I don't think you're going to be seeing a Jarvan top into Cho'Gath. Doesn't go a health field and thus can just be chomped down by the feast. So it makes more sense to pile on the tank items on the Maokai, even if we've seen Cho'Gath largely win this lane. But the confirmation here will just be Cho'Gath versus Maokai. Lindaran picked up the MVP in game 1, so I think he's very comfortable with a farm fest against the Cho'Gath.
Yeah, and it's tank, 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 damage, damage on both sides of the map. We'll see who's going to be out of 7-14 harder than the other here in our final game of the night. And of course, final game of this series to decide whether BBQ Olivers still have a chance of making it out of relegation. It all hangs on this, and then their ability to beat SKT, but it all hangs on this first. A bit of a dangerous time here for the BBQ Olivers, but they still want to keep fate in their hands moving into their last matchup of the season. We'll see whether they can do it against the ROX Tigers. Just love it. The amount of passion in our BBQ fans. Hopefully they can make it through the promotion tournament. Got another scary CJ coming out of the Challenger League here in Korea.
You've noticed I've not been talking about CJ's undefeated season.
Because we did it last season, but then we got burnt for it.
Definitely did. Left a lot to be desired. I'll definitely watch the final, though, because I felt the final in spring season showed that the level of both of the teams wasn't where we expected. That's some really old StarCraft 1, so that might have actually been Dongjun there.
Yeah. We'll see whether we get
no context esports.
Yeah, hashtag no context esports. Perfect. Totoro, go for the blind hook, do it. I mean, nothing's going to happen. Oh, nailed it. That's a Scar Award if ever I've seen one.
Is it in the brush?
Nope. I think he didn't even hit the auto attack. Auto attack's pretty easy to hit. Oh! Nailed it. Perfect. First blood drawn by BBQ. I think we can pack up.
All right, then.
Off we go. Infinitely more CS. Side of BBQ. will be starting on the red side, mirrored by the ROX Tigers, who will also do the same thing. Brambleback's going to be dying on both sides of the map. Wow, that actually sounded really sad.
You've seen Cho'Gath's proxy Maokai's walking into lane. Not going to happen this time. Do a lot of free damage at level 1. Leveling the Vorpal spikes.
Ooh, Bless actually going aggressive, but good defensive vision available here for the ROX Tigers as Songwon going to get himself over.
Collapse begins. Cho'Gath was in position. Doesn't even have to fully commit. We might have a smite battle.
Yeah. It's going down low. There it is. Smited away by Songwon, who gets the stun there onto Bless as well. And now with that smite advantage, nothing for Bless to smite, apart from the Scuttle Crab that just spawned. No! Not going to do it. And that's going to be the flash coming in, but followed immediately by Songwon. First blood going down. The jungle is battling it out in a gentleman's agreement from the rest of the map because no one rotated over.
But could there be a bigger embarrassment than being solo killed by a Sejuani at level 2?
That's a 2 versus 1, Papa Smithy.
I guess sort of is.
Yeah, see? I wouldn't be embarrassed. That's a big old boar. Could I do that even if I was a prince? Probably not.
Being pedantic, Atlas.
Game of Thrones, I mean, even kings couldn't survive boars.
Well, I'm hoping that's the end of the boars for this series. He's going to go for a second gank, Songwon.
Yeah, really good stun actually coming out of Lava, but his reward for it is going to be taken down to 300 health and forced to back away.
That's just able to turbo over to his own blue buff, so will not go buffless and be able to clear pretty fast.
But loses the red buff, which does help Jarvan stay healthy in that jungle. Someone gets a reset on his, on the other hand. God, look at that permafrost damage. It's silly. That wasn't even a smite. Pretty cool. I haven't actually played much new Sejuani. I think I'm going to start being a Sejuani main. Have a chat to someone after this.
Look up his runes and masteries on all esports and the post-game thing. Goes up. Scoreboard, I guess you would call it.
That was a beautiful setup, wasn't it?
I don't get paid for the plug, so a bit hollow, actually.
Okay, flash. Draw on Totoro. Nicely aimed on the death sentence, and they did have the follow-up available, so good flash out of Sungyun.
Getting the defensive flash from a Kalista in the Kog'Maw lane is happy times for Ghost, especially. Pile on the CS.
Whoa, that sapling is huge. I hadn't seen that particular skin with the saplings. That was terrifying. All right, someone going for the steal down here. They knew where Bless was. It's going to mean that Songwon is able to get here. Steal away at least a few. Oh, feels bad. Okay, not going to get the rupture damage, but there's the silence. Songwon saying, well, hi, as he moves out. Just a Winter's Wrath there to tell Crazy that you should worry a little bit.
Yeah, Crazy's been pretty greedy with his purchases. You'll notice has double Dorans and a Ruby Crystal, so...
Yeah, feels like an old build, Papa Smithy.
He's just trying to abuse the fact that Cho'Gath will use 2 Vorpal spikes during a minion wave, and that's no longer a toggle, so it does proc the sap magic and just try to get away with being at decent health values, if not topped up throughout the minion, throughout the laning phase. There'll be a potential for Songwon to come in for a gank, given that it's a pretty greedy path, like you say, from Crazy.
Tempt is going to be able to avoid the damage from Lava through that W at him, but not going to find it there. Troll Ward going down. Bless continuing to try and put pressure onto Songwon, but probably not a great idea after you've already lost first blood. Base check potential. Nope, doesn't happen. Level 3 to level 5, though, Papa Smithy. This Jarvan is most certainly on welfare this game. There's another extraordinarily massive present launches itself out of the brush.
I'm just pushing up, getting huge free damage trades on the Cho'Gath. There's a lot of catch-up XP in the jungle now, so while the experience lead right now, like you say, is very stark, it will start to fall away as the game goes on. It's the gold lead that's going to stick around.
Totoro is most certainly getting full. Has to flash preemptively there.
Fade continues. They walked over control wards. Even though the BBQ had the information advantage, they still lose out pretty heavily.
Ooh, Lava going to get shoved back, but thankfully didn't actually land anything on Tempt when he was in turret range.
Having the enemy jungler behind, having him envision at many of his camps, means that Lava can play as a Syndra wants to against Attilia, looking for solo kills, able to push up with almost no cares in the world. This is not a possible play if your flash is down as a Syndra, or if your jungler is in the position that blesses for BBQ. So Songwon getting that solo kill so early in the game has really allowed ROX to posture forward in lanes that otherwise they'd have to show more respect.
And it's shifted the whole storyline of any Sejuani composition here as well, because Sejuanis we talk about needing to take some time to get really into the swing of things. However, this one, accelerated out of control right now, is ahead as far as picking up all those jungle camps is concerned, but mostly ahead in that farm. Will get towards that glacial prison, and if these junglers meet, you have to feel that Songwon is in a great spot to try and get the damage done. He's a full Barmy Cinder ahead, so extra damage, extra tankiness, and extra bless not being able to take advantage of the early game.
So when he makes the actual first gank, no access to the glacial prison just yet. Just picks it up. Bit of lane experience, actually.
Well, that's going to be the ultimate coming down. Really good cleanse comes out from Tempt and sidesteps the Unleash power. Sorry, Scatter the Weak.
Yeah, if the combo had overlapped there, would have most certainly been a kill over to Lava. Used both his summoners to close the distance. That means Tempt does have a flash advantage, even though that was advantaged ROX in terms of trade.
Yeah, I feel like the Scatter the Weak might have been better off coming out first. A little bit more non-committal CC, but I like the enthusiasm from Songwon.
As a caster, you have to be critical that just because a skill shot lands doesn't mean you have to blow everything to go in, especially if you knew the enemy had cleanse. Counter-roam coming from the side of Tempt. They have 3 control wards in a triangle around the bot side of the map, which puts so much pressure onto the Kalista and Braum, who want to be overextending and trying to harass down the Cockwall.
Yeah, I like the timing from Tempt as well. I mean, straight after the aggression onto him in the mid lane, understanding that immediately moving towards the bottom side of the map is a good call. He knows that there's no one there. Songwon hadn't moved back that way. Decided to actually head back to base and complete the Cinderhawk instead. We'll have that ultimate glacial prison up quite soon. But all quiet here on Summoner's Rift. Suits Ghost. He's happy to just stack up the money on this Kog'Maw, and he's ahead by 11 CS. Doing very, very well, just with some Berserker's Creeps.
Boots 2 to be able to sidestep Winter's Bites and things like that. Maybe even the Glacial Prison soon to come out from Songwon.
Yeah, Linderung is popping off on the top side, though. 22 CS in the lead over the Maokai. Of course, Crazy probably wanting to just survive in the lane as best he can, but even with an item advantage, he's not able to go toe-to-toe.
This advantage does come from Songwon's solo kill early, and that's, again, the things that come through from a jungler killing the enemy jungler as the lanes get to play with less respect. I think Cho'Gath innately will open up about a 10 to 15 CS advantage over a Maokai, given his mana efficiency in clearing. Doesn't need double Dorans to be able to Vorpal Spike down for 30 mana, most of a minion wave. But the extended pressure from the Sejuani hasn't meant any further invades, and right now he's camping mid lane. Might just turn on to Totoro here.
Well, there's another ultimate sidestep by Tempt, who uses the flash to get out of the way. Tempt has been playing fantastically well for our last 2 games, actually, demonstrating his ability to sidestep all of these skill shots.
Also being judicious with the summoner spells. Cleanse the first time, flash the second time. Lava only now picking up his ghost, and by the time the Glacial Prison up for a 3rd time, Tempt will have his cleanse again. So with all the pressure put from Songwon, that was into the enemy jungle, if that was into top side, with a lot more chance of success than right now, just basically baiting out 1 summoner spell at a time from Tempt.
Yeah. It feels like BBQ are just able to nullify ROX's attempts to try and create issues here in the early game. Of course, their late game composition isn't necessarily bad or anything like that. It's just you look at a Kog'Maw being on the other side and you just feel like he's setting up a clock. Skin idea.
ROX Tigers could have just adjusted their target focus. I think we've seen pretty clearly that Tempt is on point with the sidesteps and now has the summoner cleanse back up for the next Glacial Prison. So why not bot lane when you have the Rambo engage potential of the Fate's Call and the Glacial Fissure? Now he will make a visit bot lane, but just to clear out control wards, 2 placed in that brush.
Wow, and whole 8 auto attacks. For a Sejuani. So much time. Thanks, Key. Only 7 necessary to clear that one out. But double control warding a brush feels real bad inside of BBQ, who lose 2 of those expensive wards. Drunk. Getting hungry. Wants some tree. Wants a little presents. I like it now. I feel like Festive Maokai now gives more presents. He's more generous since the rework over the saplings.
Really extended laning phase coming through, which Game 1 suited the Kog'Maw team. That was ROX Tigers. Game 3 does suit BBQ. Cho'Gath, the only person really happy, though. Rushed an adaptive helm. Interesting decision by him.
I feel like that'd do well against Kog'Maw. Bio-Arcane Barrage damage nullified after successive hits. Does it work like that?
Yep.
Like
Bio-Arcane Barrage, like you say, but also the sapling, multi-tick damage in the top lane, and even Talia's Weave as well.
Yeah.
So Talia's Threaded Volley. Yeah. So we'll get value out of the item, even though it's not the max damage build that we often see. Someone pick up the Rift.
Please.
Max damage build seems to be Righteous Glory, Warmogs into the Gargoyle Stoneplate.
Yep.
Probably going to see most of those items this game anyway.
Yeah, I like it. Got Crazy just getting hit. Not really a lot happening. Spectre's Cowl now completed. So the Maokai is going to be feeling a little bit better. Bramble Smash onto the backline minions.
The Observer's been baited by all the action in previous Cho'Gath lanes.
What do you mean action in Cho'Gath lanes?
Hey, we've seen solo kills.
Oh, that's true. I don't think it's not feeling like that moment here. I feel like there's a bit of a gentleman's agreement up on the top side of the map. All right, hook is going to land. Okay, and they actually wait. Give that one over as Bless is going to find himself a little bit closer, but just unable to get the work done, and Tempt has to put the wall back down.
It's a bit of a fail flash, but it was into range for the Fates Core. Still had ability to flash closer to Songyun. He did the rest of the work. BBQ training down this turret HP, and a lot of damage onto Key.
Yeah, Key actually just going to get destroyed. Too many members down here with too much damage. Songwon gets himself in there trying to protect this turret, and Lava's actually going to move himself back towards the mid lane. No teleports to come out from our top laners as they're still juking it out. And there's plenty to interrupt that summoner spell, but dangerous times. BBQ moving themselves back into position to try and take this one down. And it feels like Key just sacrificed himself for nothing.
But 2 games later, the communication that was on point from ROX in Game 1 looks a bit more wayward with the same roster in Game 3. Syndra should have just stayed mid. They had no chance to make that play. Key has had bad decision-making on Braum 2 games in a row.
They're actually trying to take down this outer turret in the mid lane earlier on, but they do get it eventually. But first brick over to BBQ. Certainly advantage them. Tempt easily able to take down Harold as he moves towards the inner turret. Certainly a more valuable tower. How do you evaluate that? I guess Key fell down as well, which means it's in BBQ's favor, but mid turret's pretty important.
I definitely take your point. Both of them right now give about equal access to the Mountain Drake, so that'll be the bigger call because the kill was picked up, like you say, but gets BBQ out of the bot lane phase. They do get to still go to a short lane and find Kog'Maw Farm. Is 1 item completed.
All right, Linderung has to flash immediately. Totoro is throwing out that death sentence. I feel like that may have still gone wide had he just moved, but not wanting to take his chances. Cho'Gath immediately running away. They actually just sack this tower as his bottom lane has stayed bot. All right, Winter's Wrath going to go wide onto Bless, who's attempting to juke something.
He's giving coverage for his bot lane, is pushing up to get the second turret of the game. Likely to be a trade. No Rift Herald to trade up for BBQ. So a Mountain Drake might be the extra prize for ROX Tigers. Seems like a defense might actually be enacted by Jarvan and Maokai, though.
Let's see whether they can get in there.
Weaver's Wall will allow Talia to come down. They have to be careful here, ROX.
Lava's actually rotating now as well, as there's the Nature's Grasp. Fortunately, it's going to be Songwon. Oh, sorry, Songyun in trouble, but Linderung's in even more trouble up towards the top side. Glacial Fissure does land, and Crazy should be taken down. Rend stacks pulled out, and that's going to be Songyun picking up his first kill of the game. Moving over now towards this Mountain Drake, and they should be able to take this one down as well. So advantage going over to ROX Tigers, but Linderung did not need to be under that turret on the top side.
Full information of Bless here with the wards. But one has to be careful. Weaver's Wall put just add a bit of disarray to this fight.
Yep, Lava actually unable to DPS the Dragon, which I guess is somewhat important. Song1 will be able to help pick that one up, but no smite necessary. As it's Sung-Yoon with at least 1,200 damage worth on that. Oh dear. There's the slam dunk. Bless easily takes him down, and I didn't actually think he was in vision.
Someone could just jumped over the wall. Didn't need to be silly there. Had flash up, and of course, been able to just dive through, but decided to be in the shop, and the shopping trip takes him down. BBQ couldn't take the inner turret in bot lane. They're trying to take the outer mid lane turret with the 4v5 advantage.
Yeah. He had a control ward right there. Oh, cute hook.
I mean, the hook was good, but why was Linderang that far up? He didn't really need to greed for 3 ranged minions they didn't kill anyway. That's crazy, did the same thing in bot side, but I look at that, I kind of look more on the unnecessary movement of the top laner rather than the nice hook coming through from Totoro.
Yeah, I mean, the nice hook was given the opportunity to exist via the fact that Linderang made a silly positional decision.
That's why when people talk about things like smite steals and score, for example, struggling with them as well.
Yeah.
I agree. There is certainly, when it happens again and again, then it deserves to at least a little bit of a mention, but it's more about just keeping your Baron checklist in action and actually being able to tick over the steps of clearing the blasting plan and warding behind. And that's, to me, the bigger concern than just a smite in the heat of the moment going wide.
Yep. Setting yourself up for a decision for your opponent that is a bad one no matter what happens, you know? Or setting yourself up for a pick on a jungle or things like that. At the moment, it is going to be that vision battle, as we are not even up to the time where Baron is even a consideration. Still a minute and a half for that. Linderang just loves Crab.
Up to 5 stacks on the Feast. 6 stacks now.
Starting to get large.
Well, high health build from him yet, but probably going to be Righteous Glory next for a bit more of that backline threat.
Speaking of backline threat, Tempt is going to come in from the side. A lot of damage onto Lava, who will get finished off with that threaded volley from Tempt, and Song1 has to flash his way out. Crazy looking for an engagement as the Nature's Grasp comes in. Sung-Yoon in trouble, but does avoid the CC. Song1 flayed back and destroyed. Ghost will be able to pick up that kill, and ROX Tigers in disarray, losing 2. Good engaged by BBQ.
Yeah, the target selection so easy. Closest target enough for BBQ. They have enough damage to focus down one. Good use of the Weaver's Wall from Tempt. And even though Syndra's a nice matchup and they had jungle pressure early, after skillfully surviving the early ganks, they're able to catch Lava in transition. Shows his rookie status being caught in no man's land between mid lane and top lane turret. BBQ will start to walk up. Probably will struggle unless they have a couple more members. Pick out this outer turret.
Speaking of, and there is another hook landing. Fate's Call comes out from Sung-Yoon, but he's not going to be able to clear out these minions. BBQ easily able to take down that outer turret in the mid lane, putting them at a 3,000 gold lead. Great spot here at this 20-minute mark in this game. Baron just spawning. Remember, the ROX Tigers have a Mountain Drake.
And
they
a Cho'Gath.
have Callista secure.
Callista secure, Cho'Gath. It's not quite the Cassiopeia for the 3P, but they do have good Baron options. That's why BBQ haven't backed, and that's not information for ROX. They see a control wall, but they don't know more.
Yeah, hook is going to come in, but Totoro actually against the flow of his hooks recently is not going to be able to find it. There's the Glacial Prison and the Glacial Fissure. Yeah, they just really want to take this one down. They have a lot of burst damage, and the Rend is going to do it. Sung-Yoon gets himself over the wall. They're going to sacrifice the Sejuani and all try and empowered recall out. Few of them will be able to get away, so the Baron buff is certainly there, as Linderang just says, well, TP, it'll be fine. Gets out. Seismic Shove probably should have been option 1. Didn't actually get used. I think may have been on cooldown after they all tried to escape out the back wall.
So I guess he didn't put faith in being able to get out without taking damage. Use the teleport that has a longer channel. Is resistant to just the damage, and like you say, more likely to threaded volley into a brush than to just throw out a blind Seismic Shove. Allows Linderang to survive.
And he's also got Feast stacks to protect as well, so opting in for using a longer cooldown, I think is a better move.
I think, honestly, the 20-minute Baron Force, with how the game was going for BBQ, wasn't the worst decision because they seemed pretty confident in how to take it down with the extra variables of Rend and Feast available.
Yeah.
It's pretty clean in the end. Rended at 775 HP. ROX Tigers have done this before, and I think it will become a more common trend. You add in Kalista and Cho'Gath, and 20-minute Barons, even with decent awareness for the enemy team, is still the right call for ROX Tigers.
Feels like an MVP call, you know?
Yeah.
The guys that just really like to kill Barons and go at the Baron as often as possible. It's Nature's Grasp is going to be used. Oh, that's really cool. It's got fairy lights on it. It's Tempt looking to try and take down Linderung. Might be able to eat someone before he goes down, and actually able to avoid a bunch of this damage. Slow's coming in, he's just wandering casually, but I think in the end, the Void Monster should fall. Didn't have Flash, otherwise I think the Flash Feast could have actually taken Tempt down in the end there.
They've had Baron buff, but didn't have teleport, so was just in no man's land and caught by BBQ. We're anticipating a bit of side laning coming through, and awkwardly, they take an outer top lane turret and have to grouped recall. Whenever you're forced to react to the enemy when you have a Baron buff, especially this early where it takes 2 to 3 members to kill the Baron buff minions, lets you know the ROX Tigers made a bit of a mistake. And now BBQ trying to continue to force things. They're going to try and take down the next Drake.
Yeah, Cloud Dragon going to be the attempt, but ROX Tigers just shoving up the mid lane, and Tempt may not have enough wave clear, especially if they put some bodies in the way. Try and do that. But ROX decide that instead, top lane in a turret is the more tempting option.
Bit on the nose with Tempt coming in, but he doesn't have Weaver's Wall, so can't really interrupt this.
Well, yeah, I sort of regretted that immediately. And there wasn't really any good pun you could go with for it as well. As Bless coming around the side, good knock up onto the Sejuani, but still very, very tanky. Should be able to get out of the way and does have the flash to do so, but the hook didn't land on the side of Totoro. That could have made things hard had the flash not come out.
And Ryan was in position to react, popped the right score and then backs away, working on the Gargo's Stone Plate. Coming up in just a moment. I like the fact that ROX Tigers were focusing on turrets. No need to fight over a Cloud Drake when you have the Baron buff, and this early will be able to open up at least a matching of turrets, which goes against all the good work that BBQ have done earlier in this game to pick up 4 turrets of their own.
Yeah. And equalizing is exactly what the ROX Tigers want to do. BBQ do have a great late game comp like we've spoken about before, but the Cho'Gath from Linderung at the end of the game, you could give Ghost all of the shields in the world, but I just feel if the Cho'Gath gets anywhere near the little Void Puppy, it's going to be puppy for dinner for the Cho'Gath.
Ghost is actually varying the build. We've seen Rage Bait second, we've seen the Hurricane second. Goes for Wit's End second, just to not die to incremental chip damage. Worth noting that Wit's End does not provide much magic resist until it's further stacked. Takes the auto attacks first before it gets any high value in terms of defensive stats. Does mean that Taliyah might have a chance at killing Songwon and Linderung at a decent speed, because even if you're hitting only the tank line, all that magic resistance reduction does mean that Tempt, who usually will be frustrated trying to push damage through a Cho'Gath and Sejuani, at this point in the game, will actually be doing pretty good damage.
Yeah, the two-way split of the boost your magic resist and take away theirs. Hook comes down. Bristle and Sejuani should escape. Key might have a little bit more trouble. Does have to use the flash to get himself out, but Songwan doesn't have his. He's just taking so much damage from the Kog'Maw, who's just a machine gun. Will be able to take down the Sejuani.
Single kill allows BBQ to reset, buys more time for Ghost. Anytime a Kog'Maw team picks up a pick, it's more items onto the Kog'Maw, so always be of higher value than the opposition team. In this case, no Drake spawned, no Baron spawned, not even 2 minutes till the Baron spawns, so the Vision game is still delayed as well. The victor is BBQ, getting Ghost another minion wave or 2.
Yeah, make it 2. This one does crash down, and there's no one here to try and help him out. As Bless, all right, ships in the night. Sang-Yoon, don't walk back in. That's crazy. Okay, Tempt is going to be spotted out. Good spidey sense there by Sang-Yoon as Key turns up to this inner turret. Looks like BBQ back on the front foot. Trying to put pressure on. 4 members towards the bottom side.
Maokai in position to teleport. Teleport wards. Not too many of them here, so Maokai doesn't have great positioning available. One could be just put down in combat.
Oh, Sangin actually able to grab the red buff. Plus a little bit fast on his smite. That was cute. Bramble smash into Twisted Advance, making for some strange animations.
It was the right move, given that he probably would have called earlier, hey, I don't have any teleport wards, I can't come in. So to at least pick up the blue buff and push in the minion wave is just fine. The perspective of BBQ. Next Baron is going to be the most interesting flare point. BBQ have already watched that when it comes to Baron Chicken, ROX Tigers are committing as hard as possible.
Yep, just don't care about that one, but that's good information to know, understanding that they can go pretty aggressively. They do see the ROX Tigers heading onto the Baron. No need to fear the turn if you know that your opponent is pretty keen on just rushing.
Cho'Gath's not grouped with the team, though. So for now, the Baron threat's a bit lower. Wards put down, but soon to be cleared by the side of BBQ.
Permanent vision available as well. The Rift Scuttler only just falling down for the ROX Tigers, so able to move back to this mid lane, understanding that they will have vision. Members of BBQ moving over.
Really expect Crazy to be in a side lane and Linderon grouped up, given how low value Cho'Gath teleporting around Baron is. Or you want to group with him and actually force the objective or peel off with the Rupture rather than a late teleport where Cho'Gath gives really little value. Just have to accept that Maokai will have the TP advantage in that regard.
Cute little hook onto Key, who goes down to half health after the Baron's finished with him. Okay. Now the dance begins. Extremely even. It's 8-2 in kills. Doesn't seem to matter. Still even money as Linderon off on his own. Rupture not going to find a target down to half health for free. Does have the Gargoyle Stone Plate that he can use at any time. But look at that. There's the Nom Nom, and it's going to be blessed. Taken down. Nature's Grasp lands onto only Key, and he's going to be taken down. Good seismic shot from Temp to extend the duration of the CC, but Sangyun still safe. It's a 1-for-1 so far. You could argue that Jarvan might be a little bit more important, but now they're all split up. ROX not sure what they're doing necessarily as far as this team fight, because it's just a free pick-off onto Lava.
Communication there just pretty awful from the side of ROX Tigers, not moving as a group. Linderon could have backed to teleport, and that's the hook!
Yeah, free hook onto Sangyun. Oh, flashes out of the way. Able to get himself over. Oh, goodness. The Ignite ticks down, but it's not enough to kill him in the end, but Linderon will fall. That Rupture not enough to take down Totoro, and I don't even know whether that's even worth it. Sangyun on flashing health bars. Looks like this Baron should be able to be taken down pretty easily with the help of the Kog'Maw. Bless is actually respawned as well, so he'll get here in time. So a bit of a complete kerfuffle for the ROX Tigers.
It's a fair way to look at it. They'll swap it for a Cloud Drake, about as feels bad man as possible. BBQ power down the Baron with the Kog'Maw comp, not against the Kog'Maw comp, like the first Baron of the game. Just pretty insipid stuff from the side of ROX Tigers, especially after the initial engage. Weird to see Syndra and Sejuani just wading through. The Cloud Drake allowed Totoro to close the distance, flash in, get the CC onto the Syndra, and from there, Baron's pretty straightforward. We watched the replay. Start of it's fine, but this actually is not the start of this. Is very much in the middle of it. What we missed there was basically Syndra and Sejuani wading through as Cho'Gath had pulled away, Sangyun and Songwon had pulled away. Seems like a lack of communication, Atlas. And then in the same spot where the previous hooks happened, Sangyun got too frisky, walked up, and someone had to pay. In this case, it was Linderon.
Yeah, it was a good play of the Rune King that kept Sangyun alive, but it really minds because it does secure the Baron for BBQ. Get Sangyun on incredibly low health. He can't go anywhere near them, and Linderon's dead, so no possible better option as Tempt. He's feeling confident. 6-0-2 now, has his Magi's Soul Stealer. We are ready to finish off this game, he says. Blasting one there. If he just finishes the Rabadon's Death Cap, that is 6 items for the Taliyah.
Well, now I really hope BBQ win, because we can ask Tempt why he bought a Magi's and see if he does the full Korean thing of saying, well, I just had the right gold values, so I bought it.
Instead of saying, well, I was super confident, which is probably what it was. And I was having a great time on the Rift.
I mean, I'm ready for that. Go alpha with your Magi's purchases. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, that's what you're stating when you purchase it. Irrespective of what you say, you can buy a Magi's, you can buy a lot of things that are worth a very similar amount of gold.
A lot of power, though, onto Tempt, even with the Magi's purchase. Here's the Weaver's Wall. They want to take the base turret. Well blocked out by P.
Yeah, Keith going to cancel that one, but good ultimate comes in. Nature's Grasp there, but it's going to be Totoro taken down very early. A lot of sticks into Crazy as they're trying to take down Songwon, and he's so tanky, but it's the double kill for Songyun, and I feel like BBQ may have bitten off a little bit more than they could chew.
In the moment the Weaver's Wall was interrupted, that was actually the sign to back away, not go as aggressive as you were considering, because the positioning was unimpeded. Speaking of positioning...
Yeah, another pick actually to come in. Bless should actually be taken down. It is going to be the Ren that finishes him off. Songyun has to be a little bit more careful. Oh, the sacrificial play! Cue the Titanic music as Key comes in and dies for Songyun.
There's another kill onto Tempt. More Magi stacks, but still, the fight goes the way of ROX Tigers. They're able to push up high enough health bars on Songyun and Songwon. I want to power up too far. End up just going on a bit of an expedition into the enemy jungle. We're going to see the replay here. When you interrupt the Weaver's Wall, the positioning needs to be more defensive from BBQ. But they got the late mail, the Nature's Grasp was not enough for disengage, and this was the group fight that you picked Kalista for.
Yeah, able to get so many sticks in there. The Maokai was certainly easy pickings after the initial kill. Key still dead. There's the playback onto Songwon. He has to be careful as Ghost. Yeah, he's got a stacked up Rage Blade now as Lava just explodes him. Never mind. Cathian's surprise will go off, and that's going to be a dead Lava as well. So they trade 1 for 1. Now Linderon getting thrown away from Tempt, who will survive by getting underneath this turret. And honestly, this game has devolved quite quickly, Papa Smithy, with picks coming left, right, and center. Lava and Songwon probably not a worthy trade for just taking down Ghost.
Yeah, it is a bit of Fiesta stuff because you just follow the playbook. You imagine the call of, okay, we can kill Kog'Maw. But remember, what's next? What was next there for the ROX Tigers? They already got the inner turret in the top side. There was no extra objective in the area. Baron hasn't spawned. The wards around Baron are of lower value because the Baron's not going to spawn for a while. There were no extra objectives there. It was just pure greed looking for kills when kills aren't really what ROX Tigers need to get as just a trade of kills. Advantage once again goes the way of the Kog'Maw call.
Yeah. Just a few more red dots up there, just being very, very tempting. The ROX Tigers, perhaps. Someone has respawned now. Copying the build of his top laner is the Adaptive Helm and the Righteous Glory. Both completed by both of these guys. Will certainly be very tanky. None of these Adaptive Helms coming out on the side of BBQ. Crazy could opt in for one, but decided that it's going to be a Sunfire Cape Spirit Visage kind of day.
BBQ want to once again engineer what they tried to do in bot lane, where you remember Key was there to interrupt the Weaver's Wall from being the outer bot lane turret. Playing in the open is what BBQ need to do. The only way this Cho'Gath gets to pop his stone plate and kill who he wants is when it's in a narrow choke or when there's a vision disadvantage for BBQ. Playing in the open is what they're really incentivized to do with their Kog'Maw, as it seems like both teams are going to play in the open for now.
Yeah. And actually just having your Kog'Maw farming there shows exactly where the rest of the team is. Good maneuver out of the way there by Songwon.
BBQ can just take the minion wave bot lane into the inhibitor turret, but they're actually looking for a fight.
Yeah, preferring not to actually continue that.
Ping's coming through from Tempt. He seems to be leading the charge. That's going to force the recalls. Good move from BBQ, even if it took an extra second or two.
Yeah, and Songyun is going to be the only one that's actually here in time. Home Guard Enchant should be able to do it, but there's the Weaver's Wall splitting up this ROX team. Nice interrupt from Key. Still able to do enough work. Okay, tower falls down. No inhibitor, though, as Songwon going for some sort of flank. Unable to get in there.
Got the objective. Don't have enough coverage for their own liking in the enemy red side jungle and back away. I felt like they could have just powered down the inhibitor playing in the open. They decide against it, and ROX Tigers do, to their credit, try to force positioning by rushing down mid lane themselves.
Yep. Seismic Shot from Tempt is clearing out this minion wave as Totoro setting himself up, but there's a control ward there. His position's given away. Hook going to go wide. Bristle's big, but not that big. Bless looking for a potential engage. Crazy will be here, and Nature's Grasp is available. Lots of tools to keep this Kog'Maw, this beautiful butterfly, auto-attacking in the backline.
And it's a very different comp, Atlas, because remember, it is a single target Kog'Maw with insane shred, flat penetration for the Taliyah to do max damage, actually. So Taliyah will be doing way more damage in these sort of comps against true tanks than we're used to, because it's going to be Wits End stacking up for flat penetration and a Void Staff completed from Tempt.
Yeah, and often that's going to mean that this is going to be the player in the front line, and Sungyun actually just ignoring any potential team fight completely. But that means the death sentence can come out. That means that target can certainly be very, very isolated for this Taliyah to get the threaded volley in there. Speaking of which, it's going to be used to clear out this minion wave, and BBQ Olivers might need to be careful because this is a 4 versus 5 due to the fact that Sungyun can get there much quicker than Tempt.
They don't want to leash it, but they can have the Taliyah surf in at any moment.
Oh, actually does decide to throw in the weave as well, so sorry. Didn't realize that the cooldown of that
And
one
ROX
is
is going to take the trade.
short.
ROX going to take the trade. They just move over to Baron, and it seems like it's going to be the trade here, and BBQ only a single buff. Don't have any control around the top side, and they just give up Baron.
Yep, fair bit of damage onto this Baron buff as well with that Mountain Drake there, but BBQ do get the Elder. They need to find that fight that they were looking for before. No
BBQ are trying to make the run here, but it's Baron buff recalls. They're not going to be able to get a free inhibitor. Right? Low value decision there by BBQ, thinking they could out-rotate, but Baron buff recall stops that in its tracks.
And not even be able to follow this gigantic minion wave towards the top side of the map as well. It's a free reset for the Tigers. I feel like, if anything, BBQ wanted to take the opposite side of that trade. Now they're setting up for the siege, but there's Baroned up minions available. Sungyun, you don't want to just jump over these pebbles. That's not exactly the optimal choice. However, still able to get a whole bunch of his health back from the lifesteal that he has picked up. Actually has 6 items as Lava has to get healed by Sungyun. In goes Bless. Okay, shield is up. Hooks are landing. Things are nice, but it's a good flash to get Bless out of trouble. Means that he can't go back in, though, and BBQ unable to utilize this Elder Dragon almost at all.
I mean, it's just so low value, Atlas. They're pushing. Oh, Sungyun
has to flash, gets himself out of the way. Lifeline passive is there from his Maw of Malmortius, but the 6-item Callista probably shouldn't be doing that.
You just can't brute force down inhibitors. Even with good wave clear from Tempt, doesn't matter when there's Baron buff minions to answer. Tried to make the rush, ignored the Baron buff recall, then overstayed. I feel like BBQ just have to wait out Baron, and that means that ROX Tigers, when they were behind, got a preferential trade of Baron and Infernal that should never have happened from the side of BBQ.
Yeah. Well, Ghost does have his double lifesteal completed. Mercurial Scimitar now done for the Kog'Maw. And yeah, we talk about this, BBQ having poor trades, things like that, but the Kog'Maw's still getting more and more items. You're not going to get any stronger if you're Sungyun because he's got 6 already. Unless he's going to sell his boots. It's an odd item build as well. I haven't seen Rapid Fire Cannon too often in the old Callista.
I mean, both sides, right? The Kog'Maw's going pure on hit. It's not going to be training down front lines like we're used to. Armor does quite a lot in this case. Once again, Weaver's Wall interrupted by Key.
Blocked off, but this is the Baron team without the ability to utilize their Baron buff, as Bless thinks that he's caught out Songwon, but is it the other way around? Glacial Prison could come in, but he hasn't actually thrown it out just yet. The hook lands onto Key, and Songwon wants to get this from out the side. He knows he needs to land it on the Kog'Maw, who's going to come around the corner now. There's the stun, not landing onto the Cog, but Ghost, no auto attacks in this fight whatsoever. It's one pick onto Crazy, and that's it, and the flash forwards are coming in. Totoro getting destroyed now as Sungyun doing some work, but Key, he goes down low, is actually going to get taken down by the last tick of the Ignite, as I believe Ghost was able to get a living artillery over the top that was able to make it a 2-for-1. Still good work from BBQ.
Face checking and doing everything onto Songwon was curious from the side of BBQ. At best, terrible at worst.
Yeah.
Punishes them. Doesn't mean they can bring up a huge minion wave here, ROX Tigers try to break the base themselves.
And remember, there are still 2 members with that Baron buff.
An inhibitor was not taken in bot side, so they don't have to respect the map pressure. If anything, ROX is causing the pressure right now.
Oh, Tempt and Sungyun actually going, what the heck? Okay, slowed down, there's the flash forward. Just the flash 8 from Linderong, but don't know whether I'd take that trade. Only 2 members left remaining at BBQ, but one of them's Ghost, thank goodness, so he can clear out this wave. And this has been such a confusing game.
I mean, Tempt has to sell his Medjais too after losing out on the stacks from that death. No longer has it. We're going to see the replay. This all started with Bless EQing in to Songwon, who was a Baron buffed Sejuani. I don't really know what that's going to cause, apart from giving target acquisition in a choke to Cho'Gath and friends. And from there, it's just Crazy, who has so much health, taking free damage for no reason at all. For BBQ, there was no objective to fight over there, and understandably, ROX, they pop Righteous Glory. They flash onto whoever they can get. They don't even have to use the Feast in any of this, and it's just bonus kills to the side of ROX.
Yeah. Key as well actually just decided to die as he moved closer to the enemy and got hit by a stray skill shot.
Maybe their bedtime's 10:30 p.m. It is 11 p.m. here in Korea.
So they keep getting calls from their mom saying, "Why are you not in bed?" Of course in Korean, guys. Bloodthirster was completed from Sang-yoon. He's got himself some Merc treads now. Just decided that now it's time for some new shoes. Because we've been walking around the Rift for a long time. These ones are getting tattered.
I mean, he's really... tanky's not the right word, but he'll sustain through fights for a very long time. It's a defensive build, but the fights go for so long that Kalista, who usually has to deal with a super tank interface and not be able to do damage in late-game team fights, will have a lot of time and space to put in insane amounts of rend stacks. Well, now they want to kill Cho'Gath.
Well, this is going to be extraordinarily funny as well, as Ghost trying to stay away from the inevitable feast. Living Artillery actually trying to get the execute damage, but not enough to get through the heal of Sang-yoon as well. But another pick, sort of, as it will force Linderung to go home and open up this tower.
If they can get the recall, Sejuani has a good angle, but will likely be spotted by wards. So Songwon was caught between recalling and looking for the collapse. Baron spawns in a minute. I think BBQ spotted Sejuani on at least one ward.
Still enough time for Linderung to get his health back and walk back towards this fight, so he doesn't even have to utilize that teleport. As there's the ultimate, only going to get some slows here.
Cho'Gath was not grouped, so not the best time for the ultimate.
Yeah, there's
Guys,
some strange disconnects here in this game.
It is 8th versus 9th, so sometimes the gameplay does
hey,
pale in comparison to our first series.
We've seen both of these teams make better decisions than that, Papa Smithy. I feel like we can still be a little bit more expectant of these teams. This is the ROX Tigers that were able to beat KT. Tell me more. Was that too much play-by-play optimism, Papa Smithy?
That was a little bit too much play-by-play optimism for our 6th game of the night.
Dang it.
Especially when both these teams are trying to outplay each other in bad decisions.
Well, Tempt has a hat and a mask, so things going well. Cute little talisman and a book and a stick. He's definitely a wizard. This Talia.
And spawns again. ROX Tigers could still try to be brazen about the start here. Or just kill Bless.
Or not quite find the Arctic Assault. Ring a ring around the Rosie with an extra ring, apparently.
Minion wave is big in the top side, and that actually gives ROX Tigers a bit of time. They need to go in soon, otherwise the minion's going to have to be responded to.
Okay, Living Artillery for some decent poke.
Oh, Sang-yoon's going for a solo mission, pushing down mid lane. Let's see what BBQ do to respond.
Seen this one before. Bless actually looking to get in. There's the Cataclysm. Is nice seismic shove to knock a whole bunch back, but look at this. The Kog'Maw not necessarily... Oh, just standing like a turret, actually. Linderung uses his Gargoyle Stoneplate, and Sang-yoon finally makes his way into the fight, but it means that Linderung will have to use that teleport to get himself back in. No flash to get on top of the Kog'Maw. Once again, the dance continues. Feels like a game of volleyball or something, Papa Smithy.
I'm going to take a risk. We saw already a risk taken by Sang-yoon pushing in mid, and now Linderung walking up top to push waves as well. They're relying on BBQ in action, and that has been the way so far in this particular Baron dance.
Yeah, good hook lands onto Songwon, but thankfully Merc Tread's built by everyone, so he's able to get away from that CC before the follow-up does land. Another setup from Bless.
It's again going to be 4 members. The Cho'Gath is really far behind. Okay, Weaver's Wall finally to interrupt, and Key's on point again.
Yep. Stops that one from happening. The redundant wall now stopping at that Baron pit.
Minions are certainly being enacted by ROX, who are playing the PvE approach to a Baron dance that I haven't seen from them in a while.
Yeah, they're now going to start off the Baron, though. We'll see whether they actually do the full commit like they did last time. Key going to get Fates called, and no, they're going to go for the turn. Decent damage, but you can see Ghost trying to get himself into position. Glacial Prison is avoided by the Kog'Maw, who wants to try and take down Songwon. Look at the damage coming in, but the Kog just standing there. Lava able to take down one, but will they be able to get to this little Void Puppy in the back line? That's the important thing, because right now he has been stunned. Good exhaust comes in as ROX. They have been softened up, but finally they're able to get on top of him. Lava picks up the kill. Songy is still alive, and in fact, ROX haven't lost anyone, and a Cathian surprise is not enough.
Yeah, Linderong was the hero. They're able to occupy the backline solo. 3 members wailing away on the Cho'Gath and Key. First unbreakable box. The Weave as well. Second unbreakable box. Unspeakable damage during the team fight. And all this time, the minions pushing in the bottom lane as well. ROX went out in basically every fashion.
Yeah, I was watching Ghost almost that whole fight. You guys probably heard, because he was going to be the big factor in a BBQ win, but just wasn't enough. Lava able to get some decent picks in there as well. And Key, I mean, despite a Game 2 performance on Braum that left a little to be desired, certainly played that team fight well.
His unbreakables have been super on point and big balls to back up what was a very woeful game from him in Game 2 on Braum on the same champion. You yourself aghast at the pick during champion select and then do everything right in this game. Not going to be the trade that BBQ didn't need to make the first time around. Going to be both buffs over to the side of ROX Tigers.
Oh, Infinity Edge completed as well from Ghost for the least synergy crit build possible. Does have a lot of attack speed, so even a small percentage of crit is still good. Scales on that as well, but
you don't often see a 6-sided build with no Zeal.
Yeah, that's what happens when a Wit's End is there and a Rage Blade.
Even you as a fan of a Rage Blade.
Oh, I love it. Don't worry, I love it. I just think that I like synergy in my builds, you know? Like Tempt. Tempt has the full wizard build, which is brilliant.
And this is our observer showing us almost no crit.
Yeah. It's going to mean the end, well, not the lack of crit on Cogmore, meaning the end of the inhibitor turret. It's going to be mostly the Baron buff, and the fact that ROX have been able to reclaim control of this game. Certainly spent some time absent from that particular statistic earlier. BBQ's rectified.
BBQ's ability to close this game has been pretty woeful. ROX Tigers got away with a lot around the Baron. The inhibitor turret in bot lane went down, what, 12, 15 minutes ago. They've never found a way to return it. They haven't played their side lanes well all season, so that, I guess, shouldn't be a big surprise. But now ROX Tigers can return to just powering down with their tanks. And even this pesky Cogmore hasn't been enough because Cho'Gath with the Stone Plate has been able to occupy so much time in the backline.
Seismic Shove not going to find anything there, and they can walk through this little corridor, but it is going to be the Weaver's Wall taken down. Thankfully, Tempt is able to at least stop that minion wave. It's only a matter of time, though, before Super Creeps move towards the bottom side. And it feels like we're back at Game 1 again, Papa Smithy. Aww. Little Cogmore's just like, but I wanted it!
At some point, I really feel like Ghost needs to rearrange his items and do the damage he's capable of. He's cutting himself away from damage to, I guess, help Tempt, but the Wit's End is a glaring omission at 49 minutes in his inventory.
Yeah, I feel like that could be sold for something that has a bit of crit on it, and his build would actually look pretty good. Unless you were looking for, you know, some other sell, because I don't think his Rage Blade should ever be sold. Synchronized backs to come in from the ROX Tigers, actually extraordinarily staggered backs. Especially when it's in powered recalls, but Linderong's huge. Not quite as big as Huni, I don't think.
Doesn't have as many feast stacks, only at 9.
Yeah. Getting close, though. That was 11, wasn't it?
I think it was 11. It was definitely 10. I want to say 11.
Double digits.
No skin, though. I'm crazy. From Linderong, sorry.
Yeah, and we've spoken about this before, though. I think that's a sin. I think even if Faker played Cho'Gath, he should pick a skin. Because Cho'Gath has the best skins. They're so good.
Cho'Gath and Cogmore, definitely spoiled.
Yeah. Not quite yet. Yorick looks on, sadly. Alright, didn't want to hook him. Caught that one with his face. Looked like he was intending it. There's the Cataclysm to start things off. Just want to put people in some terrain as ROX in a little bit of disarray, actually. The Nature's Grasp to come in, and that could buy some space for Crazy, but Rupture stops him from getting for Ghost. Rupture stops him from being able to get himself in there.
And Ghost doesn't have Hurricane. Ghost doesn't have crits. So Ghost is not the Cogmore that was purported by the team comp. And that means that they're able to, as 5 members, no one has to flash over the wall and they just turn on to the inhibitor.
Yep, Songwan looking to make himself a big frontline member as well. The Glacial Prison is there, and they'll just take down the Super Creeps. Ooh. Banner of Command had already been completed on the side of the ROX Tigers to help with that push. They knew that their waves weren't getting addressed, so it's a good choice. And now with open Nexus turrets And multiple inhibitors going down. Lots of poke coming in on the side of ROX as well. Redemption to try and desperately hold on to the Nexus and BBQ's hopes of escaping the relegation tournament. It's looking so dire for this team.
3 groups of minions going to be pushing in Atlas. I think those slim hopes are about to be extinguished.
Yep, just waiting for these next couple of waves. If anything, the ROX Tigers have been finishing games diligently with these big tanky things. Here's the last fight from the BBQ Oliver. Splash out from Lava to keep himself alive, but the bouncy castle comes in and Sungyun is ripping through these team members. He's at full health. He's able to get the Ren stacks in there. Linderung tanks everything forever, and it's going to be the Nexus now the focus after 2 members of BBQ have been taken down. Traded for 1, so it could have gone worse, but Ghost, he's going to finish it off. That's going to mean an Akathian surprise is not going to even be mentioned because the Nexus was dead first.
And the members of BBQ and the VOD review that will need to happen will be very interesting this game. 20 minutes ago, the 12 to 16 stack Medjais was enacted by the mid laner. It looked like things would be great for the side of BBQ, but suddenly ROX Tigers started to interrupt Heavy Weaver's War with the Unbreakable, make the better decisions around objectives where BBQ made a chain of poor decisions and closing out games as one of these teams only a few match wins, 3 match wins before we started this one. Proved too difficult for the side of BBQ, so they probably deserve to be in the relegation tournament, joining Ever 8 winners to face off against a couple of teams that'll be promoted through. Expected to be CJ and Kongdu, but that script hasn't been firm just yet.
And it's a little bit of a worrying sign, to be honest, Papa Smithy, because there were some moments in the middle of that game that felt like we weren't watching LCK caliber teams. It was a little bit of a mess. And how the team fights were coordinated, things like that. I don't know whether it's because it was late, things like that, but you could imagine that these challenger teams are looking at the BBQ Olivers as prey, to be honest, because they had plenty of options for trying to close out the game, like you mentioned. This last team fight did look good for the ROX Tigers, but how they got there was not exactly a glamorous journey.
And you were talking about standards, and high standards and low standards, and both these teams situationally have looked good, have played to the high standards we all ascribe to the LCK. But it's all about situation, and that can change over the course of weeks, patches, in games and in series. And this one, as you say, was a bit of a mare from both sides. ROX, over the course of things, gleefully accepted the mistakes from BBQ in the late game and looked better. That's why they will retain their spot in the LCK. But BBQ largely, it's been indicative of everything from them after about the first 6 weeks of spring season. They have not piled on the wins since then. I believe they have 5 match wins since the middle of spring season, which is not enough to stay in the LCK.
No, certainly isn't. They can still fight their way out through that promotion tournament, but we did mention that there are some hungry teams there. They're going to be joining Ever 8, who had already secured that spot in relegation earlier on. Of course, that was their debut season, though, and BBQ Olivers did have a somewhat promising spring split, so we'll see whether they can make it back into the LCK. I'd certainly hate to not see the fans in the audience for the BBQ Olivers because they are so passionate. You could imagine that the BBQ Olivers will be passionate to get themselves back into the LCK for the 2018 season.
And we wonder what the ROX Tigers will look like in the 2018 season. They did kind of have to invest many times over in varying the roster at the start of the year. Mighty Bear added to it this season. The 2 mid laners added to it. Looking at the damage chart, so much damage put forward from the side of Temp. But remember, that was with a Wits End Kog'Maw, helping him actually do relevant damage to the front line. Damage-wise, it looks like it was an easy game for the BBQ Olivers, but we know it was nothing like that.
Certainly wasn't, because that was a loss. And with damage graphs like this, you'd expect that the BBQ Olivers should be able to take down the win, but this comes back to those high standards that we were talking about, Papa Smithy, because it feels like during that mid-game, it shouldn't be a 52-minute game. This should have been BBQ Olivers breaking open that bot lane inhibitor, getting towards the Baron with the super creep pressure. Just wasn't able to be the case. MVP is going to go to Sungyun, 8-1-7 on the Kalista.
94% kill contribution on his famous Kalista ends the season, as this was the final match for ROX Tigers at 4-1 on Kalista. Was denied away from him many, many times over the course of summer season. Will mean that we have a full team interview with the ROX Tigers and their members. Get to hear from Lava and Crow for the first time. Will be a long interview given how many players they have.
Hey, yeah, true.
But I really wonder what the ROX Tigers will look like in 2018. They added 3 members to their roster over the course of 2017. They lost their trademark mid laner in Mickey. I think it's still a work in progress, which is understandable given that they lost so many great players at the end of the 2016 season, but they retained their spot in the LCK, which, given their roster came together too late, that couldn't have been necessarily a guarantee at the start of the year.
Yeah, precisely. And I feel like it's either going to be a different look in the mid lane or a different looking Lava in the mid lane, a different looking Crow in the mid lane when we come back in the next season, given a heck of a lot of time for them to practice.
They won't play a competitive match till, I guess, the Casper Cup. If that's to happen, it hasn't been announced yet. The Casper Cup traditionally does happen at the end of the year, and if not that, then January for split 1 of 2018 spring. Long, long time away from the start of August when this match happens.
Get to start those exciting talks about what each team going to look like, what are going to be the changes, and ROX Tigers is a name that has held so much esteem in the past. We'll see whether it's going to be able to move back towards that with a few adjustments here and there, because they have shown promise. Just not all the time.
Gotta say,
some of these fights certainly weren't that.
It's just so weird to see Ghost on the Kog'Maw doing so little damage. Unbreakable helped, Exhaust helped, but the item build also hurt, you have to say. The damage output that he was putting out, even though the number looked decent, it wasn't what we expect out of late game Kog'Maw. And on balance, late game Kalista able to do the work. The front line so much more important in front of them. The Jarvan really no value for the last 30 minutes and baited that bad engage around the enemy blue buff that lost BBQ more than it gained. Well-deserved MVP for Sangyun, and ROX Tigers take down BBQ, but only just.
Yeah, and that's going to mean we are going to head towards that full team interview for the last time that we see the ROX Tigers. So let's send it over to Joel for some translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Joel with your last interview translation for today. We have ROX Tigers here picking up a 2-1 victory this time against BBQ Olivers. And we're going to be here to hear from all the members of ROX Tigers in a full team interview with the ROX Tigers. So please welcome them, guys. It's a huge family you guys have there. It just seems like the coach is out here too. Someone here looks like the coach. But a win closes out your season. But how do you feel about that right now? But definitely, yeah, finishing out the season with a win always feels good. I think all of our teammates, we had that mindset that we just didn't want to give up, no matter how bad our situation might have been. He just seems like the coach. It just seems like the coach is making the comment here. Well, Mighty Bear, are you pretty much satisfied with the plays that you made throughout the season? Yeah, I think I still have many things that I want to improve on, but definitely not the most satisfying season for me. And a lot of people really highly rate your macro plays every time you do start for ROX Tigers. Yeah, I try to be careful and a little bit passive unless I'm sure that something's going to work out. If you're falling asleep, just don't fall asleep there. Yeah, there you go. I think might need to be passed on right to him. How was the games today? Yeah, just like you say, ending the season out with a win always feels good. And you definitely showed a beast-like performances in many occasions. Yeah, Cho'Gath is one of those champions that you can just live alone and just play whatever you like, and it's still probably okay. And of course, getting the MVP was great, but aren't you pretty dissatisfied with how the season ended? Yeah, I think personally, I could have shown a lot more of myself in my personal plays, but that's kind of the most dissatisfying part. But I think one of these nicknames that people are calling you about, what do you think of that? Yeah, I think those nicknames, like, as you guys might know, is something that I don't really refer to myself as. So hopefully I get better to earn that nickname in the future.
That was a deep
Yeah,
side.
I think you're talking about his Jace performances, but I think he's all right.
알겠습니다. 그럼 옆으로도 마이크를 넘겨서
Moving the mic right along.
샤이 선수와
We're gonna go on to Shy.
하겠습니다. 왜 이렇게 웃으세요?
Why are you laughing so much?
빨리 시작하시죠.
Can you hurry up and start, please?
내공이 있다 보니까
역시.
빨리 넘기려고요.
So I'm trying to get this interview done and over with.
경기 뭐 아쉽게 패배를 보니.
Well, of course, you know the game that you did start out with, you ended up with a loss.
팀은 이겼는데 이걸
Yeah, our team won, but I don't know if I'm supposed to feel happy or sad about the situation. I feel like I lost everything, but my team won, so they're pretty happy about it. But I don't know how I should feel.
아무래도 선수 입장에선 굉장히 좋은 거라고 생각하고 또 이번 시즌 돌아봤을 때
You know, looking back at this season, I'm sure what was the most dissatisfied thing
일단은
about the season?
그냥 생각만큼 좀 대회에서 많이 못했던 것도 있는
I think, you know, making appearances in the competition for this season was a lot less than I expected, but just playing along and getting these performances that I expected myself to put out didn't really happen on many occasions, and
좀 그게 더 아쉬웠던
I feel like I didn't really contribute for the betterment of my teammates. That's probably the most dissatisfying thing about me this season.
좀 어수선할 수 있는 분위기였는데 어떻게 보면 또 팀의 맏형이잖아요.
And I'm sure, you know, with the many losses that you guys did face throughout the season, it could have been a bad team morale, but you seem to have brought it up.
좀 이빨이 많이 빠져서 그렇게 많이 잡지는 않았어요.
But I think, you know, a long time ago, I think you would be right for me to control the team morale positively and negatively, but I think my teammates are respecting me a little bit less now, so they're not that scared of me. So I have a less effect in that spectrum.
그럼 바로 또 넘겨보도록 하겠습니다.
Let's move right along to the next player.
이번 시즌 어떻게 보면 가장 발전한 선수인 것 같아요.
어떻게 보면
I'm sure
선수 역할을 했다 뭐 이런
we can say that you might be the most improved player over the season.
중간에 연승을 하고 있었는데 그 연승을 이어갔으면은 정말
Yeah, I think we were having that win streak and we really want to continue on with that. But if we had continued on with it, we would have been a lot better team overall. But not being able to continue that win streak was the biggest disappointment.
잘 나왔습니다. 연승을 하다가 2라운드 초반에 사실 좋았단 말이에요.
And it just seemed like you guys were on a good roll on the first round robin, trying to continue on that win streak. But as soon as second round robin started, what was the biggest reason that you guys couldn't keep that up?
모두가 좀 거만해진 것 같아요.
I think the biggest reason is that we got a little bit complacent and a little bit arrogant over the wins that we had. We kind of highly rated ourselves, kind of past our actual level. So that might be the biggest thing that affected that.
좀 죄송합니다.
네네.
기분 좋잖아요, 그래도.
그렇죠. 승자도 탈출했잖아요. 네.
But in the end, you guys avoided relegation. I'm sure you should feel good about that situation.
키 선수 마이크 잠깐 넘겨볼까요?
예, 바텀 선수들 같이 말씀하셔도
We want to move right on to Key as well.
슈퍼 플레이를 정말 많이 하는.
And you seem to have shown a lot of super plays on that support role.
이번 시즌 마무리하면서
You know, ending this current season, how do you feel right now?
제 장점이자 단점이 약간 기복인데 아직
I think my biggest strength and also my biggest weakness is my inconsistency. Is that when I play really good, I play really well, but at the opposite end of that spectrum, I sometimes do play really bad. So,
장면들인데 상현 선수는 어떻게 보고 계세요?
and saying it, how do you rate his plays just overall? Yeah, he's a good play. He's a good player. He's a good guy, but whenever he does really bad, he tilts really hard, and that's just something like when he gets damaged and when he gets killed, he just wants to repeat that. So when he gets kills, he repeats the kills, but when he gets deaths, he repeats those deaths as well. So he's very consistent in that part.
평가에서 본인도 좀 인식하고 계신가요?
Do you happen to realize that for yourself?
한 건데 아직 그러니까 습관이니까 잘 안 고쳐.
I mean, well, partly I kind of have to agree with that, but it's something that I really want to take time and fix.
어떤 그 중요 에이스 라인이 어떻게 보면 바텀이었던
And a lot of people really rate but the bottom lane of ROX Tigers to be the key players that's really controlling the team.
실력에 만족하셨나요?
But are you satisfied with just how you play throughout the season?
그래도 저희 팀에 한 명의
Yeah, I think we lost a big part of ROX Tigers during the mid part of the season. So, but Kalista is one of those picks that I like, and I just had to be kind of taking that carry role for my team. But I think as soon as I tried to take that leadership role, that's when we kind of fell into the consecutive loss streak. So I don't know how that came about. So the logic behind it, you guys have to figure out for yourself.
좋게 가고 있는데 이렇게 브레이크를 잡으세요.
Yeah, I think all of us do a part, but we're trying to pick out some champions that are more suitable for us, that gives us a lot of confidence.
실제로 뭐 오프 더 레코드 아니 부스 안에 좀 이렇게 보이스를 들어보면 상현 선수가 저 팀원들한테 뭐해 막 이러면서
And we saw you in the booth trying to complain to your teammates of what are you guys doing? That's what you guys are saying. Yeah, but I do that very often because they do some silly stuff and I have to be the one telling them what are you doing and get your things together, and that's kind of what I have to do.
긍정적으로 바꿔서 상현이 볼 때 그래도 이 선수가 제일 좀 잘해줬던 것 같다는 선수 있나요?
Is there anybody that you think did the best in the team? I think the mental maintenance of our team is Shy, and he's the one that keeps us together, even, no matter how broken we are. The right hand of Shy, seemingly being sang in here.
우리 미드 선수들 같이 얘기해 볼까요?
그러니까요. 사실 어떻게 보면 가장 부담스러운 자리였을 것 같아요.
And I'm sure with these next players that we're going to introduce, it might have been the most pressure coming into that late part of that season.
출전을 계속
And Lava, you were the consistent starter in that new mid position.
출전했었는데
네, 좀 많이 부담은 됐던 것 같아요.
Yeah, of course, there was a lot of pressure put on me, being put in such an awkward spot.
라바 선수는 뭐 경기 수가 많진 않았지만
Of course, Lava, you didn't have many games for us to count and actually analyze you on. But we thought that you showed a lot with the short time that you were here with us in LCK.
잘하는 신인 이런
Yeah, all I really wanted to prove as soon as I came into the scene was that I just wanted to be a well-performing rookie, and that's the biggest thing I was trying to hope on.
그래요? 그러면 좀 질문을 바꿔봐서 라바 선수가 이제 오리아나를 잘 다루기도 하고.
And a lot of people do say that your Orianna is a staple champ for you that you perform very well on.
맞는다고 생각을 하시는
Do you
건지
feel that the champion is very fitting for you? Or those kind of a composed pick due to the composition, a very fitting pick?
메타에서 좋기도 한데
Yeah, Orianna is definitely a meta pick,
잘 맞는 챔피언인 것 같아요.
and it does fit a lot of different compositions. So that's the reason why I play it mostly.
선수도 오늘 첫 출전을 했었잖아요. 좀 미리
And Crow, you made your first appearance in LCK today, so did you plan that in advance?
예.
마이크를 가까이 대고.
승강전 탈출하게 되면
Yeah, I think the promise was that as long as we avoided relegation, that I would make a one appearance, and I think the promise was kept today.
상현 선수 뭐 하고 싶은 말 있으세요?
Sang, is there anything you wanted to say to that?
근데 좀 그러니까 미리 알고는 있었지만 어떻게 보면 좀 어떻게 될지 모르는 거니까.
Well, of course, you probably knew that promise was coming, but
무대 경험이 있긴 했지만
didn't know it was exactly going to come today. But
확실히 좀 긴장되거나 뭐
was there a lot of pressure put on you being put on in such a sudden moment?
약간 되는데 그렇게 부담은 없었어요.
Yeah, I was feeling a little nervous, but not much pressure was put on me because I just had to play my thing, and hopefully that just turned out to be a win.
그래도 한 명만 고르자면
Was there any one player that kept you nervous?
사양이 막 콜도 열심히
You know, Shy, I think he did such a good job for me, trying to support my back at all times, and no matter what you guys saw out of him, he's the one that really helped me out in the long run.
사이 형이
Yeah, Shy's the best.
샤이 선수가 되게 이거 부담스러워 계신데 실제로 어떠세요, 샤이 선수는?
Well, Shy, how do you feel about all these compliments going your way?
잘 사주고
막내
하잖아요.
때뭐 클템이 괴롭히고 뭐 이런 거 생각나니까 난 잘해줘야지 뭐 이런 거.
I'm not sure.
실제로 뭐 어떤 식으로 좀
Well, how do you treat your teammates?
이끄나요?
저는 어린 친구들을
예.
솔직히 좀 잘 보살펴 준다기보다는
You know,
그냥 장난식으로
instead of caring for my younger teammates, I try to just have fun with them, play around, and have jokes.
말을 되게 많이 하네요.
But I think, you know, because of that, I think they're kind of taking it easy on me. They're looking at me pretty easily, so perhaps that made a bit backfire towards me as well. So I don't know.
이걸 또 이렇게 까시나요?
죄송합니다. 크로우 선수가 이제 이런 미드라이너가 되고 싶다.
Well, of course, Crow, I'm sure you have a vision for what type of a mid laner you would like to be in the future.
뭐 많은 기회가 있진 않았지만
그래도 딱 이름을 말하면은 딱 이런 미드가 있었구나.
Yeah, I feel like something that I want to achieve is that whenever someone mentions my name, it's they would remember me as such a mid laner, that they actually remember me by name. So
단점이 없는
making a name for myself and having no real negatives
그런 미드가 되고 싶다.
as a player, that's kind of what I want for myself.
이렇게 뭐 전원과 인터뷰로 나눠봤는데 확실히 뭐팀 분위기는 타이거도 좋은 것 같아요.
And we did share an interview with the entire team, but it seems like the team is going pretty well and the morale seems to be all right.
그렇죠. 이제 시즌 마무리잖아요. 하고 싶은 말 있으면
Is there anybody who would like to say the last words?
역시 저희 코치 감독님이 또 정말 1년 동안 많이 고생하셨고
But I think, you know, our coaching staff did such a wonderful job for us, working so hard to bring us success.
많은 것 같아요. 정말 그동안 고생하셨고
But I don't think we had enough chances to express our gratitude towards them, so we like to thank them greatly.
팀원들과 그래도 팬분들께도 좀 한 말씀 해주세요.
Anything you'd like to say to the fans as well?
팬분들도 빠질 수 없죠.
Oh yeah, we can't go without talking about the fans, obviously.
저희 오랫동안 많이
And of course, for a long time, you guys have been cheering for us and gave us a lot of support that we really fed up on. So we thank you for all of that.
는 아니지만 이제
And of course, it won't be our last goodbye for sure. We will try to keep trying to impress you guys and hopefully bring you a better happiness in the future to come.
자, 이제 모든 일정을 마무리할
And that seems to be the end of the interview. Back over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel. Good to see Songyun's charisma there and the exasperated father figure of Shy just wanting to go to bed.
Bit of blithering there from Shy for sure. Really interested to see what happens for the ROX Tigers. New logo, new look this year, and even had to change that with Mickey leaving after 3 round robins.
Yeah?
On the year, last round robin with Lava and Crow. Still tinkering, still learning what ROX Tigers look like. Today, it looked like a better team than BBQ, but probably not by enough. When you come to their expectations, that means that ROX Tigers are cemented in 8th spot and that BBQ will be joining Ever 8 winners in the promotion tournament after the finals, after the Worlds qualifier, so sometime in September, you'd have to imagine.
Yep, somehow MVP not out of playoff contention just yet. Not sure how that maths works, but see how they are going to go. Yeah, extraordinarily optimistically. It's Jin Air and Afrika. They're the ones that are really going to be battling for that final spot towards the top of the table and into that gauntlet.
Well, MVP will play Ever 8 winners when we come back on Saturday. That'll be Achilleos and I. First series might be MVP ending the season on a 5-match win streak of their own. But the second match is the interesting one. Afrika Freaks play Jin Air Green Wings. If Afrika win by any score, they are in playoffs. If Jin Air win 2-0, they are in playoffs. But if Jin Air win 2-1, we will have a best-of-1 tiebreaker, probably played after what is a pretty damn big second match on Sunday.
Yeah, BBQ Olivers versus SK Telecom T1 isn't necessarily a massive one, but we have certainly some incredible dessert after that game. Longju Gaming versus Samsung to close out the summer split of the LCK 2017, and what better way to do it? That is a juicy top-of-the-table matchup if ever I've seen one, and with so many more implications now after the Telecom war went in favor of SKT.
Yeah, KT do not have the ability to finish first any longer. They will very likely be second. We've been guaranteed for a while now a new regular season champion, not ROX Tigers or SKT, for the first time in almost 3 years. It'll be Longju or Samsung. Longju's a romantic story. That's the young players coming together and also the veterans trying to get to Worlds. And Samsung Galaxy, it'll be that very slow improvement from final team, lowest placed team in spring season 2015 to potentially regular season champions.
Exactly right. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have to say goodnight. Thank you very much for watching what was an incredible Telecom war and to see ROX Tigers cement their place